Hello there, I'm Trent Adams.
And I'm Ian McClellan.
I'm Gideon McDowell.
We are, of course, your three hosts of Kilted History. And today, well, it's a start for one of many of our talks that we'll have on the channel to come. But we wanted to introduce ourselves so you can know a little bit about your hosts. Myself, as I said, I'm Trent Adams. Um, all of us have collective skills in history. Between the few of us, we've got historical, archaeological, and musical backgrounds. Um, Actually, myself, I had an interest in history at a very young age. My grandfather was a World War II veteran who told me lots of stories about his exploits, and as a young one, I was always interested in the past for the many tall tales that I heard. I got my bachelor's degree in history at Sacramento State University in California and my master's in California State University at Los Angeles, also in history. Now I spend most of my time in the Pacific Northwest when I'm not busy teaching United States history, government, and economics at the high school level. I'm performing in a band called the AML Trio, we perform lots of Celtic music. You'll see us at Scottish festivals and Highland games and things like that, singing many songs of Scottish history. And now I am very happy to be here with two of my friends to share the knowledge that we collectively have and our mutual appreciation for Scottish history and culture, which I think I'll turn it off to my fellow host, Mr. McClellan. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
My name is Ian McClellan. I grew up in California in Visalia in the Central Valley. I've always been avidly into history, love it very much, very passionate. I'm quite a medievalist. I've always been proud of my Scottish and Swedish ancestry and always wanted to get closer to my roots. Got good grades, got into the University of Glasgow, lived in Scotland for 5 years, got my bachelor's in Scottish history, and I got my master's in battlefield archaeology. It was a lot of fun, very lifetime experience. I'm here now because of it, because I want to turn it into something and spread my knowledge of history, make it worthwhile. So
Uh, Actually, you've told me a little bit in the past about some of the stuff that you did on the archaeological side, finishing your master's. Would you mind sharing a little about some of that investigation? As a historian, I do a lot of reading, but Mr. McClellan here has to acquaint himself with erosion and things like that.
yes, a lot of buildings are made out of limestone. The Scottish soil is very acidic, so it's a race against time to get artifacts out of the soil before they completely decompose. And due to the very rainy and wet, windy conditions, the erosion is quite rampant. So I wrote my master's thesis on the early modern conflict damage at Cambus Kenneth Abbey and analyzing different musket balls and how the diameter of the musket ball only got wider over time because of the erosion. So it made it quite difficult to pinpoint exactly what the conflict in question was. Why were there musket balls in the walls of a medieval abbey? Anyway, we ended up linking it back to the Jacobite Rebellion. But long story short, I love history, and yeah, so I'll pass it off to the next host.
As I said before, I'm Gideon. I grew up in the Valley of Oregon. I've been there since I was a kid. My love of history really started when I kind of started. I watched Lord of the Rings actually, and I was like, "This is really cool. This is like the armor, the weaponry," and I got really into it. And then I kind of, instead of going medieval, I kind of started going towards more like the frontier. And for the past 12 to 13 years, I've been driving mule teams and learning about like fur trade. And in my own personal life, I do a lot of research on Black and Indigenous history and the effect of kind of the westward expansion like of people of color and how it affects their culture and kind of where they were. So there's a lot of history of Black frontiersmen that's never told, and a lot of Indigenous people's history that's never really been told from the perspective of their history. So I do a lot of research of that and learn about that to make sure that that is told, so it's not lost.
Yes, which is part of the reason I think we're starting this channel as a whole to preserve cultures and traditions. And we'll say, we do dabble outside of Scottish from time to time. They're a very diasporic group. I can't claim to have gone to Glasgow like my pal McClellan, but done quite a bit of research into the First World War, and that is one thing you'll be getting from this channel. Is yes, we will be talking about Scottish culture and history, but also much more the broader world as well. We are, after all, Americans, so you will be getting a lot of that frontier life from us, and a lot of the continuity. That we see living today, and we will be live on site at various Highland games. Some of you may have already encountered myself or Mr. McDowell at some of the events up here in Oregon. And until we can peer pressure him into moving up to the Pacific Northwest, you may run into Mr. McClellan down at some of the Highland games in California. So if you ever see us at an event, feel free to say hello. We will often be roving and doing interviews when our other duties do not keep us too busy. But we just wanted to take this chance and let you get to know who we are. And we will have much more to come from Kilted History. As mentioned, we will have a book club of Sir Walter Scott's Waverley. We'll be talking about that and many more shorts to come. But until then, this is your host, Trent Adams, signing off.
Ian McClellan signing off.
Guy McDowell signing off.
And until next time, Slanchava.
Sanjay.
Wow.